Okay, today we're going to talk about American Transcendentalists and American Transcendentalism. I know that is a difficult word for you to say, but think Transcendentalism, okay? And it has absolutely nothing to do with a dentist. I want you to, when we're talking about what it is, I want you to be prepared to think deeply about topics that may not be extremely interesting, but they are still relevant today. Mostly we're going to talk about politics and things like that, which are still relevant, especially during, an election year. Now, Romanticism and Transcendentalism are considered movements, but Transcendentalism is like an offshoot of Romanticism. They're closely related. That's why we're not separating them too much in this class, but they are different in that Romanticism focuses on the 5 I's and Transcendentalism really only focuses on 3. Transcendentalism focuses on individuality, intuition, and idealism, but Transcendentalism is still part of the same larger romantic movement. It's just another subset. Transcendentalism as a literary movement is attached to it's attached to the larger romantic movement in the 1830s. It was the first movement that established a clear American voice. And what I mean by American voice is they were talking about what it meant to be Americans. They had these ideas that Americans had certain rights and certain freedoms, and that they had a certain way that they should act on those rights and freedoms. I do want you to know that it's sort of related to the Age of Reason in that they think that a higher reality can be achieved by human reasoning, but it's not all human reasoning. They have no specific focus on imagination. I'm not saying that you can't find evidence of imagination in there, but that's not their main focus. Their main focus is individuality and intuition. And what they are suggesting is that the individual is capable of discovering a higher truth through intuition. All right, there are several tenets of American Transcendentalism. Have them numbered the way I do on the slides, because I'm going to ask you on the test about these, and I've kind of condensed it as much as I can. The tenet number 1 is that nature and God are the same thing, and that if you live closer to nature and you learn from nature, you're going to live closer to God and learn from God. Nature is going to be emblematic, and if we work hard to understand the lessons that it teaches us, we can become closer to God. I also want you to understand that they have several words for this, and they all mean the same thing. So nature, God, universe, oversoul, all of that is referring to the one, what we would call God. The second one is that God is omnipresent. That means that omni means all, and present we know means there. So basically God is everywhere and in everything, and that's why we don't need specific churches. We don't need specific denominations of religion, and we don't need to go to church, because if we wanted a direct relationship with God, we should just go outside and become one with nature. Hindus, this is just a fun fact, but Hindus actually believe this and call it Brahma, and Brahma or God is everything but nothing in particular. I thought that was a fascinating point. The third one is that man is divine. What this means is that if nature is divine and we are creatures of nature, then we are divine as well. If we have a direct relationship with God, or we have to have a direct relationship with God, because we are creatures of nature, which is made by God. So their idea is that people are God, or particles of God. The next one is intuition. God is within everyone, and He is like their intuition. So basically, God is like a conscience. He gives people a natural, essential understanding of right and wrong, which is what we call morality. And morality should not come from society or books or laws or anything else. That morality should come from our intuition, because we have a basic understanding that we're born with. The fifth is self-reliance, and that means that you are going to depend on nobody but yourself. Intuition and instincts guide us to do what is right. In nature, if nobody else is around, we are our uncorrupted selves. That means that society corrupts us. And what I mean is, society is constantly telling us we have to look a certain way, we have to feel a certain way, we have to think a certain way, we have to do this if we want to be popular, we have to do that if we want to be smart, and things like that. You have to come from a certain place in order to be somebody, and that's not what it should be. The Transcendentalists would say that would be society as a corruption, which leads us into number 6. Society is the source of corruption. Their idea is that everybody is born pure and uncorrupted, but society corrupts us as we age, because they are telling us what to do and how to think. I put it in like another way. Society equals conformity, and conformity equals the death of the individuality. The more you copy everybody else, the more you are killing your true self. That is kind of what they believe. And they don't believe that people need anything artificial or materials. If we would follow our own intuition, we would all be better off, even if society rejects us. You need to be the true individual, even if society doesn't like it. The next one is idealism, and we're going back to that how humans are born thing. They argue that humans are born naturally good, and that humans, even corrupted humans, are naturally good at their core, and that society is what corrupts these people and makes that hard to see or hard to act on. But they also argue that if humans are just left to be themselves and be humans, then they are going to be naturally good. Now, I spoke about materialism, so number 8 is how materialism is bad. They thought that having things was worthless, that working for materials is unhealthy, that materials are superficial, and that money is evil because it places a false value on objects and people. That if we didn't have this thing called money, then we wouldn't feel the need to have more of it, so that we could purchase more things that we don't really need because they don't really matter. Number 9 is about technology, and y'all all know I disagree. I love some technology, but I understand where they're coming from. The Transcendentalists say that technology causes problems for society, and that technology ends up running us. And an example that I found when I was doing some research on this was that we built the railroad so that travel would be easier, and we built cars so that travel would be easier. And we shouldn't even be worried about travel at all, because we should be at home getting in touch with ourselves. But now that we have all these things, we have to have more people, and we have to concentrate on building the track and building the roads and making the cars, and who's going to drive the train, and how are we going to train the drivers, and things like that. And we spend so much time maintaining everything that it's more of a hassle than it's worth. And their idea is that that kind of thing keeps us from the most important things in life. And number 10 is this whole emphasis on the here and now. This is that seize the day mentality. They say that the past is unimportant, and that knowledge comes from experience in present, not past. And they say that past can't teach us anything truly valuable. We can't learn anything truly valuable from the past or from the people who lived before us. Their knowledge was based on experience, so ours should be too. We should be getting out there, and we should be doing things and feeling things for ourselves, not relying on others to do it and feel for us. And we should not worship anybody or anything that has come before us, because why would we when we can understand through our own experiences? All right, now we're getting into the actual transcendentalists that we are going to focus on. There are 5 or 6 of them. We are only focusing on 2. The first one is Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's a man who believed completely in self-reliance. I had a student my first year who came up with this really, really good way of thinking about Emerson and Thoreau, which are the 2 that we're going to talk about. And he said that Emerson is more like Willie from Duck Dynasty, because he wants to get out in nature, but he doesn't really want to give up every single comfort that is afforded to him. Some background on him. I would like for you to know some of this. He is a Unitarian minister. If you don't know what Unitarian means, it means that you don't believe that there is a holy trinity of God, the Holy Ghost, and Jesus. You believe that they are all one being. He was also a key intellectual and philosophical voice of the 19th century. He spread the philosophy of Transcendentalism as best as he could. He wrote essays, he wrote letters, he acted on his beliefs, and he propelled individualism to the forefront of the American conscience. And this is something that we still have today. We all want to be who we are, not who somebody else says we should be. He does voice democracy and ordinary experience as American themes, because at this point, nobody else really has this kind of setup. Now, there are 3 beliefs connected to Ralph Waldo Emerson. He believed that the universe is connected to the individual through nature. Remember, the universe and nature are the same thing. He thought that by contemplating nature, we can transcend the world or society and become united with the oversoul, which is the same thing as the universe and nature. And that one must follow his own intuition and beliefs, no matter how they stray from the beliefs of society. He had some beliefs that were very unpopular, and he didn't care. He was going to stand up for what he believed because he believed them wholeheartedly. He did write an essay called SELF-RELIANCE. It's an essay on transcendentalism, and it promotes individuality and intuition. He wanted people to be reliant only on themselves and not society, because he felt like people were too involved in society to really understand what they needed to understand. They had lost themselves in trying to fit in. All right, like I said, if Ralph Waldo Emerson is Willie from Duck Dynasty, Henry David Thoreau, he's the real deal. He walks the walk and talks the talk, and he is like Survivor Man. Like, he's hardcore, okay? He's very interesting. One interesting story about him is that he opposed a tax that he was required to pay, and because he opposed it, he refused to pay it. He sat in jail for a year until I think Emerson bailed him out. I mean, he was planning on sitting there until they just decided to get rid of the tax because he thought it was wrong. All right, he's a transcendentalist, and he's almost radical in his beliefs. He influenced an environmental movement. He really thought that you should get out of the cities and move into nature, and that you should get rid of all your materialistic items, and you should spend your time becoming one with nature. In today's world, that would mean that you leave your house in the city and you build a very basic house with very basic plumbing or no plumbing. You get rid of your cell phone, all your fancy clothes, you get rid of your car, and you spend time in nature. He was also a supporter of abolitionism, and he had 9 main points, which I need you to have in your notes. His first main point is that he prefers a laissez-faire government, but he does not call for the abolishment of government. He really just wants a better government. And that, the top is his, and I put it in my own words underneath it. And basically, I defined laissez-faire government. And basically, that's just a government that allows people and businesses to function without governmental interference. Main point 2 is that most men serve the state mechanically and do not freely exercise moral judgment about their service. The state is another way of saying the government, and what they're saying is that people don't think about what they do for the government. They just do things and pay things, and and they do all of it without question. I mean, when I turned 18 and got a house, or turned 22 and got a house, I had to start paying property taxes. And did I question the fact that I had to pay property taxes? No, I just knew it was going to be something I had to do. So I'm one of these people that have served the state mechanically. I have not opposed anything. Main point 3 is that it is a man's duty to wash his hands of wrong. And what this means is if you do something wrong or you witness something wrong, you should take responsibility for it and fix it. If the government does something wrong, people should also stand up to that government and try to fix it. And it doesn't matter if you're the only one standing there. If the government is wrong, then you should stand up to it. This is something that we can really see today in the way our government is changing. Main point 4 is that order, civil government, and the rule of the majority, or democracy, sometimes, while it's a good thing, it sometimes prevents people from doing the right thing. And what I mean is like government peer pressure keeps people from doing the right thing. It's like the opportunity school district thing that's coming up. There's a lot of pressure to pass this right now, but it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. You have to think for yourselves. That's what Thoreau and Emerson really wanted. They wanted everyone to think and feel for themselves and make their own decisions about what to do in life. For main point 5, he says that any man more right than his neighbors constitutes a majority because he has God on his side, and he should act immediately to wash his hands of wrong. And basically what this means is if you are truly right, God will be on your side and you will automatically become the majority. That means if I'm in an argument with one other person and I feel that I am truly right, God will be on my side, not the other person's side, because I'm truly right. That I am automatically more powerful and in a position to do more with what I'm saying. Main point 6 is that one honest man can change the state by standing up to it. And what he means is that you should stand up for what you believe in, because even if it's just one of you, if it's just one person, you can stand up and you can cause change. I like to do nice things for people, I'm a teacher. I don't make much money, but I still like to donate to things, and I like to help people out because I want to be the good in the world. I want there to be good in the world for my students. I want there to be good in the world for my children one day, and if there's going to be good in the world, then I need to at least try to be part of that good. For main point 7, a man can change an unjust system by refusing to be unjust and by being entirely willing to make a sacrifice. Thoreau's sacrifice was the whole tax thing. He totally thought it was wrong, so he sacrificed himself, and he sacrificed a year of his life and spent it in jail. And he sacrificed it for great change and justice. For main point 8, this one is a little hard for some students to understand. They say that blood spilt is lamentable, but wounding one's conscience is worse. And what this means is that while you kill someone and that is awful, killing yourself, killing who you really are, is more wrong and much worse than killing an actual person, because you are choosing to live in a conformed state. All right, on main point 9, the state should respect the individual. I mean, do governments really respect the individual? I don't know. I'm not even going to open that can of worms. But the government should respect what you want and how you think and how you feel. And they believed that they should respect your individuality above all else, because while there is a society, those people still have the potential to act on their individuality. Now, I have a video at the end of this that I'm going to show in class about Transcendentalism in pop culture today, because we still have Transcendentalist beliefs. What I want you to do is I want you to come up with your favorite points from this. Like, put a star next to them in your notebook so that when I ask you about them, you can tell me what they are, and I want you to be able to tell me why you like these points so much. Make sure you put these in your Unit 2 section of your notebook, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.